Living alone in a big city often felt isolating, so when I saw the envelope, I hesitated for a moment before opening it. Inside was a simple note: "You're not alone." It was signed by a friend. Curiosity mixed with skepticism, I asked around the building, but no one knew anything. The following day, a home cooked meal appeared on my doorstep. Every day, something new arrived: a knitted scarf, a potted plant, a heartfelt poem. On the 10th day, I saw an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Whitaker, sneaking away from my door. She smiled sheepishly, admitting she noticed I seemed lonely and wanted to help. Her kindness melted my heart, and I realized I had found a family where I least expected. Now, I make sure to leave a surprise for someone else in the building each week, keeping the cycle of kindness alive. As kids, we avoided the tree at the edge of the forest, but curiosity got the best of us this year. Timmy, Jenny, and I decided to camp nearby, armed with bravery and a flashlight. At midnight, the singing started, eerie yet soothing, echoing through the woods. We crept closer, hearts pounding, when an old man stepped out from behind the tree, singing in a gentle voice. He was known as Mr. Lawson, who lost his family years ago. Every Halloween, he sang to feel their presence. Moved, we joined him, our voices tentatively harmonizing. His eyes glistened with gratitude. From then on, that night's tradition became ours too, filling the forest with joy instead of fear.
Lisa had lived in the bustling city all her life, but never felt more alone than when she lost her job. One dreary afternoon, she sat by the subway stairs, head in hands, feeling invisible to the world. Out of nowhere, a man sat beside her. He didn't say much, just offered a coffee and a warm smile. "You'll be okay," he said softly. His presence was comforting, like a beacon in the storm. As Lisa looked up to thank him, a gust of wind swept through the station. People hurried past, obscuring her view. The man, along with his gentle presence, had vanished. Later that day, she received a call, an interview for her dream job. Coincidence or magic, she couldn't tell. But his words lingered, bolstering her courage. Would you believe in disappearing acts or fate's mysterious plans?
On my way to the usual Saturday community park cleanup, I found a red envelope on my bike. Inside was a ticket to the local art show, something I'd always wanted to attend, but could never justify buying. Curious, I pocketed it and cycled to the park. As I picked up trash, a group of strangers, all holding similar red envelopes, gathered nearby, chatting and laughing. We realized someone had handpicked us from different corners of the neighborhood. United by curiosity, we attended the art show together. The night was filled with stories and laughter, turning strangers into newfound friends. By the end of it, we all felt like family, stitched together by the kindness of an anonymous benefactor. From the day we moved into the old mansion at the edge of Pine Woods, my sister Clara was fixated on the attic. Despite the house's reputation for being haunted, Clara was drawn to it, more curious than afraid. At 12 years old, Clara was all flowing curls and mischief. Her imagination knew no bounds, and the thought of a friendly ghost thrilled her to no end. At first, I dismissed her tales of a friendly presence with a penchant for laughter as the wild imaginings of a young girl. But then things started to happen. It began subtly. A chill across the room, whispering winds when there was none. Clara insisted it was her ghost friend playing tricks. One night, the house was wrapped in an eerie quiet. I was brushing my teeth when Clara rushed in, face alight with excitement. "He said he wants to meet you. Come on, Sam, hurry," she insisted. We climbed the narrow stairs to the attic, every step groaning under our weight. Clara pushed open the door, revealing a dusty expanse filled with forgotten furniture and cobwebs. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and mystery. She spun around in the middle of the room, her eyes alight with joy. "He's here, can't you sense him?" I stayed skeptical until the rocking chair began to move, slowly at first, then with a steady rhythm. A cold shiver ran down my spine as a soft, musical laughter filled the air, resonating around us. Clara clapped her hands in glee. The presence, gentle and warm, seemed to envelop us. For weeks, we spent our evenings in the attic, sharing stories and laughter. The ghost, whom Clara named Finn, had a way of making us feel safe and loved. I found myself looking forward to the evenings, the connection growing deeper with each passing day. One stormy night, the power went out, leaving the house cloaked in shadows. Clara was afraid of the dark, so we climbed to the attic for comfort. It was then that the air turned heavier, charged with a strange electricity. Lights flickered, casting eerie shadows. Suddenly, a gust of wind threw the door ajar. Whispers filled the air, but they weren't comforting. These were sharp and biting. Clara clung to me, her eyes wide. "Finn," she called out, her voice tremulous yet bold. The shadows seemed to recede, the wind calming. Then, as if in response, the rocking chair resumed its gentle sway. Warmth enveloped us once more, a silent promise of protection. From that day, I believed. Finn was no ordinary ghost. He was a guardian, a friend who watched over us. The house became a home, filled with laughter and the quiet assurance of unseen companionship. As years passed and we moved away, the memory of Finn lingered. Clara often speaks of returning, of visiting the attic once more to thank our silent friend. Looking back, this experience taught me about the power of belief and the warmth that kindness from unseen allies can bring. What do you think? Have you ever felt the presence of a kind spirit or experienced an unexplainable yet comforting event?
Miss Amelia's bakery was a small gem, tucked away in the heart of the town, mostly visited by locals who couldn't resist the lure of freshly baked bread and pastries that seemed to melt in your mouth. But running the bakery wasn't always easy for Amelia. After the loss of her husband 2 years ago, she had poured her heart into the business, making it her life's work and way to connect with the community. Despite her efforts, a chain bakery had recently opened just a few blocks away, casting a shadow over her little shop. Sales had dipped, and she worried about making ends meet. The bakery was more than just a place of work for her. It was a tribute to her husband, a testament to their shared passion. One chilly morning, everything took a turn when a dignified older woman named Mrs. Hollis stepped into the bakery for the first time. Her warm smile and twinkle in her eyes suggested she carried kindness like a comforting shawl. Noticing the frown that marred Amelia's usually cheerful face, she asked with genuine concern, "Is everything all right, dear?" Compelled by the kindness in Mrs. Hollis's gaze, Amelia found herself sharing her troubles. Mrs. Hollis listened intently, nodding at just the right moments, offering her empathy in silences and simple gestures. Later that week, Amelia noticed an increase in customers, faces she hadn't seen before, locals and newcomers alike. They were eager to taste her creations, which suddenly seemed to be the talk of the town. Her curiosity piqued. Amelia overheard a conversation among a group of friends seated at the cafe corner. "Mrs. Hollis said this place has the best pastries, better than that chain shop," one of them declared. In the days that followed, Mrs. Hollis visited regularly, always bringing someone new, friends, neighbors, even acquaintances from other towns. It appeared she had made it her mission to support Amelia and her bakery. Her kindness seemed infectious, as each new visitor turned into a loyal customer. The bakery flourished once more. The empty seats filled, and laughter and chatter echoed through the small space. Amelia couldn't remember the last time she had seen such liveliness. One evening, as Amelia was closing up, she found a note tucked beneath a box of her famous chocolate chip cookies. "Your kindness, hard work, and talent speak through your creations, dear Amelia. This town needs your warmth. Never forget that." It was signed, "With love, Mrs. Hollis." Amelia stood by the door for a moment, clutching the note, a lump forming in her throat. It wasn't just a bakery anymore. It had become a place of community, of friends, and of hope. Mrs. Hollis had sparked a remarkable change simply by believing in the power of small businesses and their profound impact on communities. Amelia knew she had found not just a patron, but a friend in Mrs. Hollis, who had become like family to her. Would you ever consider making an intentional effort to support a small business in your community? What might stop you, or what interesting stories have you had from doing so?
James had always been something of a wanderer, aimlessly drifting from town to town in search of work, and perhaps subconsciously, belonging. He found himself in the quaint village of Maplewood when the enchanting scent enticed him to Nan's bakery. Nan, a sprightly woman in her 60s with flower-dusted hair and a perpetual smile, welcomed him with open arms and a warm pastry. "Everyone deserves a good meal," she said, pressing the steaming treat into his hands. Unused to such kindness, James offered to work in exchange for the food. Nan waved him off with a chuckle. "Just enjoy it, dear," she said, patting his arm. But as he lingered, their conversation flowed naturally, and by the end of the evening, it felt as if they'd been friends for years. As the days passed, James found himself returning to the bakery, each time drawn not only by the delicious goods, but by Nan's unwavering kindness. Their routine became a comforting presence in his life. Nan often spoke of her Tuesday dinners, a tradition she held dearly after her husband passed away. "I like to fill the house with laughter and love," she'd say, eyes twinkling. One Tuesday, prompted by a streak of curiosity, and perhaps something more, James worked up the courage to ask if he could join one of these dinners. Nan paused, the flower she was about to sprinkle momentarily suspended in air, a look of surprise on her face. Then, with a warm grin, she agreed. That evening, James arrived at Nan's home, a cozy cottage adorned with a riot of colorful flowers. Inside, the cheerful hum of conversation and clinks of cutlery against plates created a symphony of warmth. The dinner party was a mix of neighbors, young and old, each drawn together by Nan's magnetic hospitality. James was initially overwhelmed by the lively atmosphere, but Nan's gentle nudge helped him find his place at the table. The evening unfolded with stories, laughter, and the kind of camaraderie James had yearned for. Just as the meal was finishing, a sudden commotion erupted in the kitchen. The main course dish, a lovingly prepared roast, had slipped from the counter, crashing to the floor in a spectacular mess. Silence followed, but only for a moment. Then laughter erupted, not at the mishap, but around it, and everyone jumped in to help clean up. Nan, chuckling, declared, "Sometimes a little chaos makes for the best stories," as she served impromptu sandwiches with a flourish. The mishap turned into the evening's highlight, cementing the feeling of family that permeated the room. James realized that in this small, unexpected moment, he had found what he was searching for: a sense of belonging, wrapped in laughter and shared experiences. Reflecting on that evening now, James is reminded of the simple yet profound impact of kindness from strangers that can sometimes turn into family. He has since settled in Maplewood, gradually building a life surrounded by the warmth and joy he found at Nan's table. When was the last time a stranger's kindness made a difference in your life? Clara was an aspiring artist who lived in a cozy town known for its charming bookshops and bustling cafes. Her most prized possession was a worn-out sketchbook that held her dreams, memories, and hopes, inked in bold strokes and soft lines. Clara had moved to the town 3 months ago, hoping the change of scenery would spark the creativity she'd long felt was missing. Despite being an introvert, she'd found solace in her favorite cafe, where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the gentle hum of chatter. On this particular Tuesday, Clara had settled into her usual corner, sketchbook open, capturing the morning sunlight filtering through the window. Lost in the art, she hardly noticed time slip by. It wasn't until the barista announced closing time that Clara hurriedly gathered her things. In her rush, she accidentally left her sketchbook behind. She realized the loss only after returning to her small studio apartment. Panic set in, as if she'd misplaced a part of herself. She retraced her steps back to the cafe, only to find the doors locked for the night. The next day, Clara returned to the cafe as soon as it opened. "Did anyone find a sketchbook?" she asked the barista, hope wavering in her voice. But the response was a sympathetic shake of the head. Over the next few days, Clara posted notices and asked around, but her efforts seemed futile. It felt as if an invisible string connecting her to her dreams had been severed. A week later, Clara spotted a sketchbook, identical to her lost one, sitting in the cafe window display. Beneath it was a note, looking for its owner. Heart racing, she entered the cafe and the barista handed it to her with a knowing smile. "A gentleman found it," the barista explained. "He saw your sketches and figured you'd come back for it." Inside the sketchbook, Clara found a small drawing tucked in, a portrait of her, made in a style remarkably similar to her own. Below it, a note read, "Your art brings light." Emboldened by this unexpected act of kindness, Clara left a note of her own at the cafe, thanking the mysterious artist. A few days later, they met by chance. His name was Jack, a fellow artist inspired by her work. The friendship blossomed, and eventually, so did love. With newfound support and collaborative projects, Clara's art flourished. Reflecting on the Lost Sketchbook, Clara realized that the universe sometimes takes unexpected paths, only to bring us closer to those who truly understand our heart's calling.